Welcome to the Bothell City Council meeting of December 12th, 2017. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All council members are here except Councilmember Samberg, who is on her way. Meeting agenda approval. Is there any changes to tonight's meeting agenda? Deputy Mayor?
I'd like to pull AB 17-203.
Okay, pull that from consent. Is there any other changes to tonight's agenda? Seeing none. We usually do the consent agenda, but I guess we're not doing that tonight. Is there a consent agenda in our folder? Oh, there it is. Okay. Any changes to the consent agenda? Or projected, sorry, my bad. Projected agenda. Deputy Mayor?
I wanted to see if council would be willing to do a fourth meeting in January on the 30th. Because we know we have outgoing boards and commission members who are leaving starting in January. Normally we don't appoint and they don't start attending, new appointees don't start attending till April, and I'm concerned that already some of the boards and commissions are having trouble getting quorums. And we know there are 28 open positions, so we can't simply add it on to another meeting. And so that's, I guess, my request.
And so you're asking for the last week in January?
Yeah, January 30th.
Can you guys make it? Councilmember Neal? Okay. You guys don't care. It's good for you guys. All right.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Any other projected agenda items? Seeing none. Oh, there we go. Councilmember Spivey. Oh, your microphone's not working.
There we go. Not a kind of a projected agenda item. I was reviewing the items for Olympia on our lobbying down at the Capitol, and it seemed like a very robust list, and just concerns me that that's a lot to share with the legislators in your 3 to 5 minutes that you have down there. So I just, I guess, caution on having a list that's too lengthy, and please, as you approach that, consider the length of that list and winnow it down.
City Manager, I asked the same question a couple days ago.
Absolutely. So that's your legislative platform. That's for the entire year as pieces of legislation come forward, and council potentially would like to weigh in opposition or in support of some legislation that's happening at the state or federal level. When we go to Olympia, we prepare a completely different document.
Okay, great. Thank you.
A shiny, glossy one. It's concise. Okay, next on our agenda is the special presentation, which is the oath of office. I'm sorry, and the city manager is going to give the oath of office to our judge, Michelle Gehlsen. You're here, right? There she is. Yep, she's here.
Good evening, council members. I apologize. I told the judges this would probably be at about 6:20, 6:25. So we're a little bit early, so I apologize, but they're coming in right now, and then we'll go forward with the oath of office. Thank you.
Do I get to say, please be seated? That's So I'd like to welcome some of our local judges. We have Judge Howard, presiding judge of Snohomish County District Court. Maybe if you want to, there we go. Judge Lyons, Snohomish County District Court. Judge Coburn, Edmonds Municipal Court. Judge Van Slyke, Everett Municipal Court. Judge Kasner, Everett Municipal Court, Judge Robertson, Federal Way Municipal Court, and Commissioner Rick Leo, Snohomish County District Court. And they're all here to support our judge. You want to come over this way? Sure. So I have the privilege this evening of swearing you in to your oath of office for being the judge for the City of Bothell for our municipal court. So if you'll repeat after me. I, Michelle Gehlsen, please raise your right hand.
I know how to do this.
Sorry.
I, Michelle Gehlsen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Judge of the Municipal Court of Bothell
of the Judge of the Bothell Say that again.
of the office of Judge
Of the office of Judge
of the Municipal Court of Bothell
of the Municipal Court of Bothell
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. First, I would like to thank Jennifer Phillips for her appointing me to another 4 years, and to City Council for your confirmation. Today, I reflected back to when I was first appointed 8 years ago. The plans for this City Hall, where we are now, were just beginning, and a quiet town was beginning to emerge into a destination. Our growth has been exponential, and it has been a true honor to serve as your judge during this exciting time for our city. I would like at this time to introduce and thank some very important people to me and in turn in this community, for this community. And first, it is my judicial colleagues. Being a judge in a single court can be extremely isolating, and I appreciate each one of my colleagues that are here tonight for your support, your collaboration, and most of all, your friendship. It has been amazing over the last 8 years. Second, who is entering right now, my court administrator, Courtney White, and my court staff. We have worked extremely hard in the last 8 years to create an amazing court team. And it is a pleasure, and I mean truly a pleasure, to come to work every day. And it is because of that court team. And so I thank you to my court administrator that leads that team. Third, I've had the pleasure to create a program in partnership with UW Bothell Youth Court. And there are some individuals in the room tonight from Bothell Youth Court. If you can just put up your hands. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Hi, Madison. Thank you. This program was started or began 5 years ago. And there's also other individuals in the room tonight that helped me create that program. First is City Attorney Paul Byrne, Commissioner Rick Leo, Kara Adams from UW Bothell is here tonight as well. And also, make sure I have this correctly, Assistant Attorney General Elise DeShane. Is that correct? All right. Thank you so much for all of your help with this program in helping us get it started. And I'm not going to go into great detail about it, but what it has done for this community in keeping, it's a traffic court, in keeping our teens safe, but also in showing the leadership of what we have or who we have in Bothell has been really amazing. And then I'd also like to thank my YMCA mock trial coaches, Brett Nagel, who's a defense attorney, was a former Snohomish County prosecutor, and again, Elise DeShane, Assistant AG, Assistant Attorney General. I kind of like to say that. It's kind of fun to say. 3 years ago, I was approached by students in an intro to law class at Bothell High School, and they said, Judge Gehlsen, we want to start a YMCA mock trial team, and we need a coach. Can you do it? And I thought, oh my goodness, if I do this, my family is going to kill me. So I thought, okay, who do I know in the legal community that will help me? I sent out an email to all of my attorney friends, and I said, can you meet with this group of high school kids at the local coffee house in Bothell and see if you can help them? And lucky for them, Brett Nagel showed up. And he has given so many of his hours to the Bothell Youth Court mock trial team. We're in our 3rd year. That first team went on from regionals to the state competition. They were the first team ever in our state to make it from regionals to state on our first year. And that is, of course, because of the excellent leadership of Brett Nagel. Then that, I knew Brett was like, I need some help. So I was like, Elise, will you please help Brett? And she's on the team now. So thank you so much. We have Madison Cobb, who was on our team last year. She's on our team tonight. Our team, they come to the courthouse every Tuesday from 6:30 to 8, and then we will be coming on the weekends to practice as well, and their regional competition is in February. So good luck to our YMCA mock trial team. Finally, I would like to thank my family who are not here yet because I thought we were going to do this at 6:20. So I'm just going to thank them and they can watch it on the tape. I have to thank my son, Max, and my husband, Paul, and especially my husband, Paul, because as you can see, one of the favorite parts of my job is community service. And it takes a lot of time and hours away from my family. And my husband is so wonderful to allow me to do that and be such a wonderful husband. So excuse me for the tears. Everybody knows sometimes they call me the hugging judge and not the hanging judge. So, so we have many challenges in the next 4 years, especially with the opioid epidemic. But I look forward to creating solutions, working with my colleagues on the judicial bench, which we tirelessly do, to try to bring justice to our communities, access to justice, if I could say that, and really to try to change behavior. What I hope is to work collaboratively also with the city, and that Bothell will not just be a destination, but the safest destination. So thank you for another 4 years, and I look forward for working in this community, and it is a true honor. Thank you.
We're good? Okay, next is special, I think I figured out what happened. I was supposed to do the outgoing council member thing first, so sorry, Judge. So I'm gonna come down to the podium. Councilmember Spivey, would you come down? Still in the plastic wrap. There's a plaque. There you go. Here's this. Okay, so Councilmember Samberg. Oh, you're not Councilmember Samberg. Councilmember Spivey, who was elected to the City Council in 2006 and has served a total of 12 years from 2006 through today. His service included 1 term as deputy mayor from 2014 through 2015. His numerous committee assignments included the Economic Development Committee, the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, I think we call that a board, the Public Safety Committee, the North Shore Parks and Recreation Service Area Board, the Joint City and Fire District Advisory Board, and the Left One Disability Board. Councilmember Spivey was also a member of the Popkini Master Planning Policy Group. And I just want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have something?
Sure. Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you to my colleagues at up on the dais and the colleagues that I served with previously at the dais. What a wonderful experience to help shape your community and learn a lot about your community. I thought I knew quite a bit about Bothell, and I learned plenty more. It's a great town. It really is. But like all great towns, it's going to change, and we've seen a lot of it. So again, thank you to my colleagues. I want to say thank you to staff for being there for all of us, to provide us that valuable information, to answer our questions, to, just be the support system to give us the good information so that we can make the right decision. I also want to thank my colleagues at work for putting up with me and phone calls and that happen while I'm on shift. It can be at times disruptive when there's a hot topic going on to, hey Cap, I need to take this phone call. As well as the guys that I coach with up at the high school. I want to thank them for when I got to leave or practice early to come here to pick up the slack for me. But most importantly, I need to thank my family. When I started on council, my campaign was in 05, and my son was just going into, during that election season, just going into high school. And our daughter, she was still in junior high. So the time that I took to be away from them to do this, I want to thank them for letting me do it. I want to thank my dad and his wife for supporting me. They've been there when I needed to vent. And most importantly, I want to thank my wife, who's heard me vent a lot. And sometimes that's all you need. But she was also there to be a sounding board to get feedback. And there's a lot of conversations and a lot of breakfast and coffee talking about, things, ideas and all. And she helped make this job easier. She was a rock through the whole thing, even through the campaigns and everything else. She managed the home. So a great big thank you, Valerie. I love you. And again, just thank you to everybody. What a wonderful experience.
Councilmember Freed. Councilmember Freed was elected to the City Council in 2006 and served for a total of 12 years, including one term as mayor from 2014 to 2015. He served on numerous committees throughout the years, including the Community Outreach Committee. The Economic Development Committee, the Capital Facilities Committee, the Popkini Master Planning Policy Group, the Eastside Transportation Partnership, and the Bothell UW Business Development Center Advisory Board. As mayor, Joshua served on various mayoral committees, including the King County Mayor's Committee, the North End Mayor's Committee, and the South Snohomish County Mayor's Committee. And I would like to thank you for your service. Cool. Thanks, Andy. Yeah.
Great. Well, it's nice to be here. After 12 years of service to the city of Bothell, a place that I've called home for 44 years. I lived overseas in Egypt and Pakistan for 7 of those years, but always came back to the farm. So was raised in Wainita Valley, and there were 7 families at the time when I was younger, and now there's probably 400 or 500. So it's significantly grown over that period of time. But I want to thank my beautiful wife, Lindy, who stood through it all. When we started 12 years ago, she was pregnant with Simon and Levi, so it's fun that there's 2 11-year-old twin boys here that have certainly grown, and we've experienced a lot along the way. I got Caleb here. I appreciate you, my son. I love you dearly. And for Emily and for Jeannie, awesome kids. So I'm a man that's extremely blessed. My parents raised me up to go out and serve community, so I've had the opportunity to do so. I've so many different community members that have served together on different committees. I think, as Andy mentioned, on the 522 Citizens Advisory Board back in the day when we came up with a vision of putting the rerouting of 522. We used to have a very awkward intersection in downtown Bothell, and the group came together and came up with an idea how to change it. There was a thought that it might go on the shelf for many years, but because of the perseverance of city staff and the council, we decided that we could change it, and we did. There's other community members like Steve Cox or Lee Henderson, who've been involved for so many different years, changing the fabric of what our downtown is all about. It was an honor for me to work with people like Bill Evans, Sandy Gwynn, who's dearly missed. I know all of us miss Sandy dearly. She loved Bothell with all her heart and gave all herself to make sure that the community that we are living in now is one that is vibrant and one where we can all gather and celebrate our country, our community, and really relationships with each other. My best friend, Mark Lamb, I love you dearly, like a brother, even more so. What we've done together was extremely exciting, and I'm going to miss my Tuesday nights with Del Spivey. After council meetings, we go out and spend good time together. First time I met Del was actually 12 years ago, and we sat across the table wondering, who is this guy on the other side? And one of the great testaments is on a lot of political things. Thankfully, we're all nonpartisans here, but sometimes there's political divisions that happen between Republican or Democrat or Green or Independent. But thankfully, in nonpartisan positions, you can find ways to work together. And Del, you've been a great example of creativity about how to make our community better. So it's been fun to serve out these last couple years with you. And certainly as you drive through downtown, you see a vibrant city that exists today. One that we have worked together as past councils and this council to make sure that the vision of the citizens is continuing to move forward. We have a lot of new development that's occurred. We have obviously 522 I talked about, downtown planning that we worked on with 150 million of investment by the city, with seeing about 350 million of private investment. And that's come in the form of the Village at Beardsley Crossing, the 104, the Mercantile Building, Six Oaks, and the Junction. McMinimans, which we all celebrate together. We've seen new restaurants like Amaro, Social Grounds, a Public House, and so many more. And tonight we sit in the city hall that wouldn't be here if not for resilience of a council that saw that it needed to be in place, not for us as a council for a place to meet on Tuesday night, but for the community to gather together. So the staff that is working here on a daily basis has a great place for the community to come to find the resources that they pay for. And here we sit in this community hall, or the city hall will serve the citizens for many years to come. Excited to see the expansion of UW, Bothell, and Cascadia to get to the 15,000 FTEs that we have today. That was made possible with the Southern Access. A new council member that's coming on, Rosemary McAuliffe, was a huge part of that. So the city is in good hands, making sure that we're moving forward as she joins the council. I'm certainly thankful for Trish Samberg. We've been on the opposite side of those things. We stood arm in arm on things as well. I've never questioned your wavering dedication to the city of Bothell. You thoroughly investigate all the issues that are before you, and I think city of Bothell is in far better hands because of you sitting where you've sat in 2 different terms. And James, I appreciate your reconciliation persona that you've had. It's trying to pull people together to making sure that we can work together to make city of Bothell a better place. And Tom, I miss all the candy bars you used to give me. I would show up at my council meetings, and every Tuesday night I used to have candy bars. I don't know what happened. The last 2 years they've been missing. But Andy, I've never questioned your dedication to Bothell. I know that you love Bothell, and you as well, Davina. Bothell is a place that you want to see be better. So I appreciate your service, and I know that as you move forward, you're going to work with the most incredible staff that we have here in the city of Bothell. It's amazing what together we've been able to accomplish with the Wayne Curve, with improvements to 522 and the Boulevard, to the Main Street redevelopment that's ongoing, with the intersection going from in Canyon Park, with all the sidewalks, the bike lanes, the new additional lanes that have been heading south, all happened within the last 12 years. And the city staff that we have here, I just want to touch on. It's amazing to see the dedication. And there has been some change. I had the honor of serving with Bob Stowe for many years, who made so many different changes within our community and helped us to be part of success. And now we have a new city manager who I know is dedicated to be here, to making sure that this council has some good advice as we move forward in civic matters. And for Tammy Shackman, we're standing on sound, firm ground when it comes to financial status in the city, and that comes with you and your team and your leadership. And Aaron, I thank you so much for your leadership, for Public Works and the staff, with Nick, and for community development, and of course for police and fire. It's amazing to see that our public is safe each and every day by your staff putting yourselves on the line for our safety. So I'd just like to say I'm excited for the new ventures ahead. Obviously, you know, Lindy and I have been working on a few things around the world. We have new things we're going to be doing in Kenya, Israel, Egypt, and the Philippines, and certainly here at home with initiatives where it's heroin injection sites, sites or working on the B&O tax statewide next year. So there's a lot of work to do. You guys have the honor to do it here in the city of Bothell, but otherwise I think all members that live within a community should get involved one way or the other. And it's been my honor for 12 years to do so. So thank you all.
Councilmember Samberg, come down. Here's your plaque. Thank you for your service. Oh, can't leave yet. Okay, Councilmember Samberg was reelected to the City Council in 2014 after having previously served. That's not good enough. You served for one other term, right? 4-year term? Okay. They didn't put it in my notes here. In addition to her work on the council, she served on numerous committees, including the Economic Development Committee, the Capital Facilities Plan Committee, and the Human Services Committee. She was an alternate on the Snohomish County Tomorrow Steering Committee, the Sound Cities Association Public Issues Committee, the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, and the Eastside Transportation Partnership. In 2017, she was appointed to the Metropolitan Solid Waste Management Advisory Committee. And I want to thank you for all your service. Would you like to give some comment?
Well, thank you everyone for coming. You might be here for this, or you might be here for the later item with the back nine, but in any case, I'm happy to see you here. I have many thank yous. I would like to start first with thanking my peers, the current council members and the past council members I've worked with. I think we have always brought the best interests of Bothell to the dais, and even though we've had disagreements about how to accomplish things, I think we've always had the best interests of Bothell at heart. And in that period, we've accomplished many things that both Josh and Dell have already listed out prior or previously. So I'd like to thank the council members that I've worked with. I'd also like to thank staff. We have so many hardworking staff that work for the city, and I know often they're in a difficult position if they're trying to make the public happy, trying to make council happy, trying to get their jobs done, and we just have a really great staff, and so I want to appreciate all of the people here that work for the city. I'd also like to thank the community members, those who volunteer their time in any capacity for the city and for your community, because it's the volunteers who really are the fabric of the community. And so I'd like to thank people who have served on boards and commissions. That is like a direct volunteer benefit to the city, and to all the people who've done activities like PTA and sports coaching and working to preserve open space in the city, and all the wonderful things that our citizens and our business owners do to make our community a better place. I really appreciate. And then finally, I would like to thank my family. I used to always joke, people would say, gosh, I don't know how you do it at the end of the meeting. And I would jokingly say, well, a glass of wine and some Xanax, which is partly true. But on most of the nights when I wasn't doing that, I had my husband, Mike, to be my sounding board and to be there to just to listen, not to solve problems, but so I will be forever grateful. And to my son too, I'd like to give thanks to my son that he's tolerated the time away, and you getting on now know that you do spend a lot of time away from your family, and you miss things and you miss weekend events. And so I would like to thank my family, Mike and Jeffrey, and thank you all.
So we also got out of order the upcoming public engagement opportunities and events. There's two. The Department of Ecology seeks public comment regarding the Bothell Service Center cleanup site now through December 18th. For more information, visit the City of Bothell website. The boards and commission vacancies, we just talked about that a little bit. Beginning December 15th, the city will be recruiting for positions on several boards and commissions. I think there's 28. If interested in serving, please check our website for information and application, or you can just contact Tom Agnew. No, you can contact any of us on council. And I'm logged out. There we go. All right, city manager, council committee reports. Is there a city manager report? None. Council committee reports? Deputy Mayor?
Sorry, I have to find it. Okay. So I wanted to briefly discuss, we had a meeting here in Bothell on December 1st for the North 405 stakeholder group. We had, I don't know, about 20 local electeds, city managers, and business leaders here to discuss the problem of 405 between I-5 and 522. We briefly went over the WashDOT Executive Advisory Group's most recent update, which included the current plan for solving that problem. Currently, there is no funding other than tolls if those tolls stay, which that's unknown. But if there were funding and if the tolls stayed, the earliest we could see any relief would be 2024. So I'm sure you can all imagine what traffic will be like in 2024. We received a legislative outlook from Senator Palumbo, who outlined some potential funding sources, and then we had some discussion around next steps. And so Bothell City staff is writing a letter, thank you very much, Erin, for the group to sign on to advocate for a faster solution and funding to be identified, and that various cities can sign on to. So we'll be doing that, as well as identifying some legislative language for cities to adopt for their legislative agendas. And then at the East Side Transportation Partnership meeting, we had a brief overview of the East Side Rail Corridor. The total trail vision is from Renton to Woodinville, a non-motorized and recreational trail. There are 3 sections: Lakefront, which is Renton to I-90, Wilburton, I-90 to 108th, and Valley from Totem Lake to Woodinville. And there are some interim trail sections under construction right now at the Cross Kirkland Corridor and at Jean Coulon Beach Park. Metro Connects gave us an update. Their 25-year long-range vision was adopted in January of 2017 and will provide for 73% of residents to be within a half a mile of frequent service, and Rapid Ride would expand to 26 lines. For Bothell, almost nothing. 1 Rapid Ride line to University Village in 2023. And then ETP is discussing a legislative agenda for this winter. And then I had a brief meeting at the Transportation Policy Board for King County members, and just basically we reviewed the 2018 countywide grant program framework for the 2021 and 22 funding years. The current allocation is about $52.57 million for countywide, and the same for regional grants. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Any other committee reports? Councilmember Agnew, McNeil.
Thank you. So I don't have a lot to cover. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for covering ETP. But what I wanted to talk about briefly is the involvement that the council, this current council, has had in committee, going to committees, being involved in committees, because the importance of these committees is how we bring those dollars back to our community and how we make sure that we're being heard. So I want to take my hats off and applaud all the council members up here for the fabulous job they've done over the last year on these committees. and I look forward to continuing to serve on these committees because we have a lot of things that we face: transportation, housing, land conservation, and public safety. And it's very important that Bothell stay involved in that conversation so that we can make sure that our voice is heard, as several have mentioned up here. I would like to say that I agree with Councilmember Spivey about our legislative priorities. I have had the opportunity to go to Olympia and visit our legislators up there, and I think it is important that we have a strong message of what's important to us here in Bothell, and I look forward to going up there and serving. Thank you.
All right, any other community reports? Seeing none. Moving right along into the visitor comments. So this is, I read this right out of the protocol manual at the, oh, that's the wrong page. Hold on a second. There we go. Each person addressing the council will be given his or her name in an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless the council grants further time, shall limit the address to 3 minutes. No person other than the council and the person having the floor will be permitted to enter into any discussion either directly or through a member of council without the permission of the mayor. And the first one I have is, they're burying them, Daniel Ewing.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm here to speak on the purchase of the back nine for Wayne. We're very happy to see that the front nine was approved last time I was here. We're very happy with that. So I say we, there are several disc golfers here who want to use the course for that. We're chuckling. A few of us have talked about it. It's very, very low impact on the environment. We tend to be very nature people ourselves. We don't make holes in the ground, and we coexist with nearly everybody. Nearly all parks that we have courses on are multi-use. There's parks with mountain bikes, regular bicycles, dog walkers, horses. Even the ski resorts will put up a course in the summer. So like Stevens and Crystal will go up to the top and play down. Really all we require is a basket and tee pad to go out there. Very mixed use. A few different, we're in a very unique position where we have lots of great land here locally available that we're looking for things to do that we can coexist with. For us, for example, we had an event Sunday where we had 106 athletes compete in, not quite impromptu, but about a month planning event. And we all came out, we set the course up the day before, took it down that night. No impact on anything permanent. We all had fun, and we all came and spent our money, had fun. We were very excited because the land that we have here is of high enough quality scale. There's elevation changes, there's water, there are trees. These are all things that we love, that we could get regional or national level events here with very little financial impact. And we're of very good benefit that we have around 600 local regional athletes that regularly travel, regularly compete, regularly volunteer for these type of events. We had 100 show up just Sunday, and I know there's another tournament down in Tacoma area. It just happened to be the same time. So we're very engaged. We love doing this, and we are here to work with Bothell, work with the other residents. We're residents. We love our parks too, and we look forward to being with the city as we move forward with more options for our residents and to attract people to our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Veronica Garcia.
Hi there, everyone, members of the council. I would like to specifically address Council Members Samberg, Spivey, and Freed. I'm here representing Initiative 27 to ban injection sites in King County. Your terms are ending, and I'm here to say thank you on behalf of the hundreds of Bothell residents who signed the initiative. For reference, several weeks back, we approached the council and this room overflowed with people asking for the council to put injection sites on the agenda that evening. You were the 3 council members who stood behind the request of the community, and voted yes to have injection sites put on the agenda. That night you showed resolve under pressure, and it deserves recognition. We would like to see more leadership like that in Bothell and a willingness to listen to the community. We hope that your fellow council members will take that away from the legacy that you're leaving from serving on the council. And just on a personal note, I was here that evening and I made that request as an individual as well. And I just wanted to say that the three of you made me feel heard. And after several conversations with residents of Bothell, I had a lot after that meeting, I can say that I heard so many words of appreciation about the three of you for standing up for the community that day. So thank you again, and best wishes in your future endeavors. Thanks.
Next is Jerry Weatherhog.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to support or voice my support for a multi-use public park facility for Wayne Disc Golf Course with a layout dedicated for disc golf use. I'll try not to repeat what my fellow athlete, Daniel Ewing, mentioned already, but I've got several reasons that I hope will encourage or reinforce your opinions about this use. One, the land has good bones already. It's a golf course. The former layout of and contours of the course are easily adaptable to disc golf use. It's been done many times. You could only drive up 522 to Tall Firs disc golf course in Monroe for a good example of how they took a old fertilizer resistant course and turned it into a successful, thriving disc golf course with a good local community. In fact, that's how I know many of these bros. Also, 9 ball golf holes can easily accommodate 18 or more disc golf holes because we can't throw that thing that far. Not as far as a little white ball. And also, the fairways are tighter. In fact, it's kind of encouraging to have tighter fairways because it makes the holes tougher. Like we mentioned, or like Daniel mentioned, they made a course there already, somewhat guerrilla style by Cole Whited over there. And 100 people showed up on very short notice on a Sunday while a Seahawks game was going on. So that was pretty impressive too. And everyone had a good time. And that's 100 people, 100 more people visiting the community, going to local bars, likely, because these are disc golfers, and contributing to the local economy. Also, players are used to sharing the course. Nearly every course that we play on is a shared public park. Tall Firs is the only one I know of that's private, and it's very cheap. It's only $5. So we're used to sharing the course. There's an ethos to play safely. There's etiquette. We don't want to bonk anyone in the head. That's the last thing we want to do. And the maintenance of the course will be minimal, if not self-maintaining. There's a pack it in, pack it out ethos among disc golfers, and we will help maintain the course, and keep it in playing shape. It's to our benefit, and that's what happens at other courses. In fact, there's a team disc golf league whose members, and there's hundreds of us that play in this league, that to play in this league, you have to contribute to. Sorry. All right. So, anyways, lastly, there's no better use for these unallocated park funds than purchasing this jewel of a land for a song. You will get many people come to play it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mark Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's really wonderful to be here tonight and to see so many friends and people that I knew from my time of serving on the Bothell City Council. And tonight, I just want to say thank you to 3 people. First, I wanted to thank Councilmember Samberg. I think when you spend some time off of council, you get a perspective for how much time people put into something. And as I reflect on the time that we served together, your dedication, your hard work, and your intelligence, even when we disagreed, which was sometimes, I sincerely appreciate what you've given to our community, not only as an elected official, but also your time on the Planning Commission. I never doubted when you came to a meeting that you would be completely prepared, that you would be ready for the discussion, that you'd have good questions, and that you would have put in the time and hard work necessary. I also thank your family, because I know that the time that you put into something like that takes a great deal. It takes away from people that you love. And on behalf of a community, when I left this council, Sandy Gwynn came and said similar words, and I know that if she were here tonight, she would be saying that to you as well. So thank you. The next person I'd like to thank is Del Spivey. Del has spent his entire adult life in public service. Del is somebody who goes towards situations that most people in life avoid. Something he shares with Councilmember Agnew in his former profession. And that is a really noble and a wonderful way to spend your life. I also felt that for those people on our staff who served in public safety, both in the fire service and also in our police department, they always knew that they had someone on the council who understood what they were going through and who understood what their service was like. And so not only for the 12 years of service you've given to the city of Bothell, but also for the service that you have given to our broader community in public safety. Thank you. You're a wonderful friend, and you've been an outstanding member of this council. Finally, I wanted to thank Joshua Freed for his service to our community. I know Josh very, very well, and I know Josh has given more of his time and more of his resources to people who really have nothing to give him back than he ever talks about publicly, or than he is ever given credit for publicly, and that is by design. Josh has gone to some of the poorest and most desperate places in the world, and through his family has reached out to the disabled, the weak, and the forgotten. And I think when people look at legacy, or people look at someone's life and how they choose to spend it, the time that you have spent on this council has made Bothell an immeasurably better place, and the time you have spent off of this council has made our world an immeasurably better place. So to the 3 of you, thank you so much for your service and for the opportunity to serve our community together.
Next is Joanna Crocker.
Hello, my name is Dr. Joanna Crocker, and I'm the assistant for the Cascade Canoe and Kayak Racing Team. And I'm here tonight with Dan Henderson, our head coach. You may have seen us out there on the river this past summer with the U.S. National Sprint Canoe Team training. And I am speaking to the purchase of the back 9 in terms of how this purchase can support what conservationists call compatible development. And compatible development boosts business while supporting conservation. So before I forget, we are so extremely grateful to be in Bothell. It has been great for us. We love our site, we love the town and the people. And I personally love what we're doing because I get to engage every summer with kids from 10 to 13, many of whom have never been on the water before, and get them stable in those long, skinny, thrilling boats. And there are a couple of events we do every year that really attract a lot of people. We have 2 distance races, and they typically bring about 75 paddlers, but these paddlers usually come with coaches, moms, dads, siblings. So it's like a really big party out there, and I suspect a lot of them come into Bothell afterwards. I'd also like you to know that in a professional capacity, I've served for many years with the Nature Conservancy's Asia Pacific Regional Compatible Development Program, and also consulted for their Latin American program. So I have some experience with small to medium-sized businesses that boost conservation. So, buying the back nine, a really good thing, because you can help downtown Bothell businesses when all those weary, hungry birders, fishermen, paddlers, hikers, bikers, runners, and I've probably left out, oh yes, the Frisbee folks. Yeah, there's lots of people out there, and where are they going to come? They're going to walk across the road over to downtown Bothell. So, my message is buy the back nine, boost development.
Thank you. Next is Jonathan Senesak.
Mayor, out of respect to other audience members, could we, I believe they're even in violation of our protocol manual, but could we have the signs with the sticks put to the back or something out of respect to the other members sitting in the audience? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Senesak. Good evening. Council members, thank you for your service. I am a recent transplant to this area. I spoke on the night that we had the vote for the front nine, and I'm here also to support the vote for purchasing the back nine as well. I am a fellow disc golfer or Frisbee folk. I moved here from the East Coast in April to pursue a job to help find the cure for cancer. I currently work at Seattle Genetics. I have no family here. I have no friends here. I moved here basically just for that. I've never lived on the West Coast, and so I wanted to try it out. I moved to Virginia, and I lived in Maryland as well. And when I moved to Virginia, the disc golf community is what brought me into the state of Virginia, and I traveled for tournaments and met people, and this is how I've met everybody here tonight. And it's basically the definition of community. You know, going out, meeting people, having fun, enjoying camaraderie. Disc golf is basically hiking with the etiquette and traditions of golf, but it allows for competitiveness, and you can go travel. There's actually a world tour, and there are professional disc golfers that travel around, so it is a legitimate sport. There's currently, I believe, 16 parks in the city of Bothell, and only one has a disc golf course, and that's the Blythe course, which only has 10 holes, which if anybody knows golf, usually it's at least 18 holes on a golf course. I am a golfer, and I still will be a golfer, but I play disc golf, and the reason that I play disc golf is because it's environmentally sustainable. It brings a sense of community. It adds to the competitiveness that I like in being an athlete and competing. It's not injury prone, so I don't have to worry about blowing my knee out or things like that, like some football players or soccer players or other people do. It's very similar to golf. There's very similar etiquette. However, there are the differences, and basically the differences are the pros to disc golf. No chemicals or fertilizers are used on courses because you don't need them. It's less effort to maintain a course. There are usually more trees, and you want more trees because they add obstacles. If you ever play golf, you'll notice sand traps, you'll notice ponds and things. That's the obstacles that add to the challenge of the game. I've played golf for over 25 years, and I've never played in a tournament. I've played disc golf for 3 years now, and I've played over 25 tournaments, and I've traveled around the state of Virginia and Maryland, and now in Washington to play tournaments, meet new people, and compete. If you look at the Facebook numbers, there's the Blythe Squad Disc Golf Club on Facebook. They currently have 164 members, I believe. That's just for this area where you have 164 people that communicate for that. The Northwest Disc Golfers have over 3,700 members, which includes Oregon. So if we had this tournament over here on Sunday, I brought out 3 people from work. We all played, and afterwards we went to the Vine to have drinks and have some food. So I would really encourage you to think about that. It is shared use, and it would be a great investment in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Bill Moritz.
My name is Bill Moritz, and I want to speak about the Wayne, the unanswered question regarding the Wayne Golf Course purchase and acquisition. So just a brief background. Everybody probably knows this, but I want to put context here. The Richards family requested a zoning change to do something in the clubhouse area, and that generated a lot of public opposition. Subsequently, the Richards family notified the city of its intent to sell the front 9. City first had the first right of purchase, which was good for 45 days. The council, led by then Mayor Freed, met in executive session and decided not to pursue exploring that purchase option. No public announcement was made. Later, the Richards family notified the city of the intent to sell the back 9. Again, council met, took no action, and there was no public announcement. The citizens mobilized when they got word of this. They realized what was going to be at risk and what we could lose. One Bothell was formed to explore options for acquiring and preserving the land for future generations. They discovered Forterra, but also sought assistance from King County, state, and other leaders. Just to put the property in context, the front 9 consists of about 50 acres. In 2016, the county assessor placed a value of $1.94 million on this property. It was sold to Forterra for $3 million, about 55% more than its appraised value. The back 9 is a little smaller at 38 acres. Its value was $1.12 million. It was sold to Forterra for $7.13 million. That's a 540% increase over its assessed value. Now, the majority of that property in the back 9 is zone 9600 residential, and you could theoretically put about 140 home sites there. So the question is, why so much more for the back 9? Well, it turns out Freed executed a purchase and sale agreement with the Richards family for some amount of money. One Bothell was gathering support for preserving the entire property. Freed then, in an amazing amount of time, submitted a subdivision plan. Subsequently, that generated a significant increase in the value of that property. And here's what he proposed for the back 9. 57 home sites crammed in there. There's restrictions along the river and along the creek that runs through there to reduce the number of sites. So here's the question. Freed, while acting as Bothell's mayor, used information he gained in a closed, non-public city council meeting to aggressively pursue acquiring and developing the back 9. What was never revealed is the answer to this simple question. 7.13 million minus the X value for the Richards family. What's Freed's take? I believe the public has a right to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Chris Berry.
Good evening. All right. I'm also a disc golfer. I'm here to promote disc golf and also to bring up a couple of cautions on the restrictions that the conservation grant, the surfboard grant, brings to the back 9. With the back 9, purchased with that grant, it won't become a place of recreation. It won't become a place that necessarily enriches the lives of your citizens. Tracy mentioned in November that the grant doesn't allow for paved connector trails. It doesn't allow for picnic tables. It doesn't allow for some basic development that council members had some concerns about. Conservation, definitely not the enemy. The fact that this is even part of the option shows that Bothell is trying to preserve the few wild spaces it has left, keeping this area low impact and reforesting the banks of the Sammamish River so that the salmon can once again thrive is definitely noble, and I endorse that. I would simply ask that the conservation border be analyzed and possibly redrawn to allow for the accompanying space away from the river to be used by the people of Bothell. Of course, one of the activities that I would want to see on the passive land in Wayne is the installation of a world-class disc golf course. These courses would be able to utilize the untapped beauty of the forested spaces where other activities cannot. And obviously, as my friends mentioned earlier, it can preserve some of the existing golf course infrastructure in order to lessen park development fees and expenses. Disc golf is extremely low impact on the surrounding environment and requires a fraction of the maintenance of a normal golf course. It is also typically free to play, and the cost for equipment is about $6 for a single Frisbee. The meeting in November, we had council members Freed and Spivey. Your hearts were heavy for the people on Main Street and the economic impact of the fire and the further financial impact that the restorative construction has had on the Main Street businesses. A case study for you on disc golf town named Emporia, Kansas, is about half the size of Bothell. They invested in world-class disc golf courses, and they estimate that when the national tour, the pro tour, and the world championships came to their town, that yielded $1.2 to $1.4 million in revenue each time. So by investing in the back nine and the front nine, you are investing in a form of revitalization of that Main Street. So please, I urge you to vote to purchase the back nine and to support disc golf in this space. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is David Bain.
Good evening. Like the previous speaker, I'd like to talk about the merits of surfboard funding and putting it in the right place. And I think we're in agreement that the area near the river that's good for salmon would be a good place to use surfboard funds, and higher ground that is not as relevant to salmon would be a great place to prioritize people and activities like disc golf. So what I'd like to ask is that you consider amending your decision last time and allow surfboard funds to be used to purchase a 200-foot buffer on each side of the river, so that that area would have stricter protection, and that would still leave about 20 acres with the current level of protection with the conservation easement, and it would still leave the 4 unrestricted acres unrestricted. It would free up about, I would guess, about $200,000 of city funds as recommended by city council members who could not support the purchase because they felt that we shouldn't be committing all of our discretionary funds to the golf course purchase. So this would at least put a couple $100,000 back in city coffers, and maybe you'll use it on the back nine, or maybe you'll use it for Shelton View Forest, or maybe there's something you can use it for to help Main Street. But anyway, if you did allow some of those conservation funds to be used on the front nine, that means you don't need to use city funds to do it. Another advantage of committing to conservation within 200 feet of the river is it will allow the community to begin restoration, and that would save the city maintenance costs on about 20 acres of land because you'd have volunteers doing the work on that. It would also make the city more competitive in grants that are due this spring, and success in those grants would help Bothell create jobs doing restoration work and developing the park. There were some comments about trail access and omitting a small section, perhaps along the road, to facilitate getting across the river would be, a good approach to optimizing use of the land. Also, it would allow time to negotiate a land swap with King County to put land of high value to the salmon in conservation status, while removing land that would give people better access to the property as a whole could be taken out of the conservation easement that exists right now. And finally, if we can initiate restoration work this winter, that would maximize the value of the land for recovery of ESA-listed species, including killer whales that are down to 76 individuals. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is David Habowitz.
Hello, everybody, and my opportunity to wish a final thank you and opportunity to speak to the three of you as council members. I appreciate the work you've done, and to all of the council as well, but for you as you step down, I appreciate the work. In spite of, yes, I've argued with a few of you as well, I know. I wanted to say, too, that I echo what David Bain spoke tonight, although I haven't had a chance to, that wasn't my intentions for coming tonight. And as well as the disc golfers, I'm a kayaker, I'm a disc golfer. By the way, the course at Blythe Park sucks. Take those baskets and bring them over, because when they talk about world class, and I grew up in Florida, I grew up with disc golf, and I can tell you that a world class, it's amazing what you'll bring in. So just as a footnote to these guys, and support them. We'll talk later. Another thing, we had the Safer Sidewalks and Streets campaign, and that was successful last year, and I'm really anxious to hear if and when we're going to get a sidewalk on Holly Hills Drive for the 2,000 or so families that live up there, and that is their one and only way to get to the rest of the city. And I can tell you that as we go into these nighttime days, that is, the days are so short that people are walking at night on that road, and it's really, it terrifies me to see people doing that. Then I want to go on to the 405, and the deputy mayor was talking about the stakeholders group for 405 and how there were a variety of people, including business leaders. I'd like to point out that there was one group of people that was missing from that, and that is the representative of the 32,000 signatures for the Stop 405 Tolls organization. And I'm disappointed that we were not contacted for that. And I would implore you to please consider involving me as a representative of this group. And of that, there were about 5,000 signatures from the city of Bothell. 5,000 signatures. And I know that that influenced votes. And then I would like to draw the attention to what's happening in the state politics, and that is with the legislature. They had paid University of Minnesota's policy group to do an evaluation on the performance of the toll lanes. And they will be presenting a draft of that on Thursday. And in that, one of the edicts was that they were to talk with the stakeholders, and they talked with folks at WashDOT, and they talked with other folks, but the group that they excluded from that, and I'm kind of setting this up because what we're going to see on Thursday, I expect, is going to be just a pat on the back. Yeah, here you go. Maybe you can do a few tweaks to the toll lanes and go on about your merry way. Know that they did not include the single largest stakeholder in that report. We were never contacted. So there were no citizens from Bothell or from any other agency or group of like myself on that. So keep that in mind. With that, have a great holiday.
Thank you. Next is Whitney Neugebauer.
Hi, my name is Whitney Neugebauer, and I'm a resident of Bothell. I'm commenting today on the Wayne property. The city and county should work together to acquire the back nine for conservation purposes and the restoration of the Sammamish River, Wayneta Creek, and surrounding habitats for wildlife, including salmon. As the city continues to grow, non-developed areas such as the Wayne property become even more important to maintain habitat function and recreational opportunities for residents to connect and appreciate the environment. The Wayne property in particular is of regional importance to the Lake Washington watershed for endangered Chinook salmon. This section of the Sammamish River serves as a migratory corridor for salmon between Lake Washington and salmon streams such as North Creek, Bear Creek, and Issaquah Creek. The Raya 8 Chinook Salmon Conservation Plan identifies lethal and sublethal temperatures of the Sammamish River during adult migration as a key constraint on recovery. The restoration of riparian habitats on the Wayne property would provide shade along the river, minimizing the effects of direct sunlight. In fact, the plan calls for at least a 10% increase in riparian cover by 2025 along the Sammamish River. Restoration of this property would be a big step towards that habitat goal. The historical abundance of salmon in the Sammamish River is estimated to be about 8,500 fish, and today the average per year is about 1,269, which includes hatchery origin fish. We have a long way to go. Chinook salmon are not only a community resource for the people of this region, but endangered southern resident killer whales. Their population is at a 30-year low of only 76 individuals. These whales depend on Chinook salmon and would benefit from the restoration of the Wayne property. I urge the City Council to move quickly to act, restoring the Wayne property for salmon as soon as possible. Pertaining to active use on the back nine and the property as a whole, I'd like to remind the Council to recall early visioning meetings had with the community to remember the original intent of the acquisition and to move forward with these goals in mind. The community prioritized wildlife. Let's keep salmon and wildlife in mind when planning community activities in these spaces. I'm also the director of a regional nonprofit called Whale Scout. Our mission is to protect Pacific Northwest whales through land-based conservation experiences. We've worked with North Creek Forest, along with many other groups, bringing hundreds of people and families to volunteer planting groups or planting events. Whale Scout has pledged their support for this project in the past and continues to offer their assistance in volunteer man-hours, educating the public about the importance of the Wayne property within the greater Puget Sound ecosystem. I'd like to express my appreciation to the city for prioritizing projects such as North Creek Forest, Wayne Golf Course, and Shelton View Woods. I understand that protecting these properties is complicated and expensive. I'd like to also thank Forterra and King County for stepping in to provide their assistance. In conclusion, I urge the county or the council to move forward with King County to complete the purchase of the back nine for future residents of Bothell, wildlife, and the region as a whole.
That's the end of our sign-up sheets. Is there anybody else that would like to provide public comment? Go ahead and come up to the podium. Give your name for the record.
Good evening, Council. It's Michelle Connor from Forterra. I've been here a few times, so this might be my last time for a little bit. First, I just want to say that I'm really grateful to the board of Forterra for taking a risk on this community's aspirations, and I'm pleased to be at a place where that risk will be affirmed. I'm also grateful to the philanthropists who financed the acquisition of these properties. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge the citizens of One Bothell and my colleagues at Forterra for tirelessly working with me on it. Only, on the one hand, we're getting to the finish line, but it's really the start. And tonight, I'm really pleased to join with you to hand the baton off to the city. And first, I'd like to say, tonight at just before 5 p.m., the city became the possessor of the front nine of the Wayne Golf Course. And I think that that's a moment that should be celebrated. And in just a short while, I know you're going to make the right call for the back nine. So I'll leave it at that. But I did want to thank you for your personal leadership on this. And I wanted to recognize King County's leadership, particularly Councilmember Rod Dembowski, Garrett Hallbrook, and Bob Burns. I wanted to acknowledge the support of Bothell's state delegation, particularly former Senator Rosemary McAuliffe, who will be joining you shortly. And I wanted to particularly also acknowledge the work and the diligence and the ongoing work and responsibility being undertaken by City Manager Jennifer Phillips and her colleagues at the city, especially Tracy, Tammy, and Paul. I know that you've got a lot of work ahead of you, and we really appreciate the efforts and the care that you'll be undertaking going forward. I also want to acknowledge that outside the council chambers is former County Councilwoman Louise Miller, who played a key role in assuring the protection originally with the conservation easement on the front 9. So I think it's a great night to celebrate. We'll have some salmon cookies out in the foyer later. So thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to provide? Go ahead, come up, give your name for the record.
Steve Holmes, a local resident, businessman. I'm owner of, my wife and I, of What's Up Stand Up Paddle and Kayak. We're at Bothell Landing. I'd like to thank Trish, Josh, and Dale for all their work. I've been coming to a lot of meetings and watching them over the years and making tough decisions, doing good things for Bothell. And I really appreciate all their volunteering, as well as the rest of you. It's not easy. And I would like to echo David Baines' idea about conserving for salmon. I think that David has a lot of good knowledge. I've been to a lot of meetings with him. He knows what's happening, and I think that I'd like to see him work closer with the city conserving Wayne's Golf Course in the ways that he sees. I think that's going to be excellent. So have a good evening, and thank you very much.
Anybody else like to provide public comment? Seeing none, we're going to go to executive session. So the council will be in executive session for about, how long? 30 minutes. So the council will be in executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1I. Starting now, we'll be back at 7:50.